Hi everyone, this is Sasha and Susie from Women's Fight News, sponsored by Champions Memorabilia. So obviously the start of the new year, isn't it? And I think this is going to be our first video of the year.
Yeah.
So
brand new 2020. Here we go.
I know. So I think what we thought was, I think each week kind of just do a little rundown of what's gone on. And I know January is quite quiet for boxing, but thanks to Twitter, there's still a little bit of drama, a little bit of news to share, which is always exciting.
There's actually been, it's been a reasonable amount this week, considering.
Yeah, and to be fair, there's also been a fight. I mean, obviously in the UK, no fights in January, which is so sad. I mean, especially for those on small hall shows and things like that, obviously to look to pay their bills and things like that. But hopefully, touch wood, February, we see a few more shows going on there. But there has been a fight with Evelen Bermudez.
So she was defending her world title.
Yes.
And so it was third round stoppage.
Third round stoppage, yeah. Defended successfully her IBF title. So nice little start to the year there.
Yeah, definitely. From the family that are just so talented.
Yes, definitely 100%. And I think when you've got a fight scheduled in January, I'd always be a bit like, oh no, because Christmas, you got to stay on weight for Christmas. But you know what, if you've successfully defended your title, I'm sure it's been worth it, and she can have a bit of a blowout now, which will be nice for her. More good news though, at long last, in my opinion, we've got Franchon and Elin have been signed to Matchroom for that world title fight. That off the top of my head, I feel like it's being rescheduled twice. I don't know how right I am in saying that.
It was definitely scheduled for once because it was on the Triller show, wasn't it? It was going to be the undercard.
Yes.
For the Lopez Cambosis. It was going to be for the original fight.
Yeah.
And then obviously it got called off because of COVID, and then the whole card got scrapped, which was so upsetting because it was quite near. It was like a few days before or something, wasn't it? Yeah. It was quite close. And then it just never got, as far as I'm aware, never got rescheduled.
Well, having said that, I remember talking to Rack about this, and I didn't think it'd been rescheduled, and I was like, that's just such a shame. And it was already a bit of a debate, should the undercard have been cancelled, because I think it was Cambosis that was injured, or one of them was injured, so that fight got scrapped.
COVID, yeah.
Got COVID, sorry. And it was then that fight was rearranged, and I'm sure it was like a Tuesday night I can't even remember what state in America. It was just the most random thing in the entire world. It was like, it wasn't even a small hall show. It was just like a fight had been put on a Tuesday night. And it was, Ellen had a problem getting there. So she was like stuck in the airport. I think something had happened with her visa. So the fight didn't go ahead. But thank God, because like, what a rubbish way to have a world title fight.
Yeah, if no one knew about it and it just sort of went ahead, in the world, doesn't get to experience how great this fight could be. What a shame. So perhaps, things are meant to be, things happen for a reason, because now Matchroom have taken this on for the spring. We're all in for a treat. 100%.
It is going to be such a good fight. It deserves that platform. And I'm sure they were, I don't know if they were frustrated when it was cancelled the second time. I think that I'd secretly be quite happy. But like you say, everything happens for a reason. So that fight is happening spring, did you say?
Yeah, the spring. We don't know when, but that's all they've sort of said.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm excited about that because Undisputed, super middleweight. Can't get much better than that.
No, and could you ever imagine a male undisputed fight happening on a Tuesday night and no one has heard about it in any division? Like, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Absolutely crazy, isn't it? The fact that we're even debating how many times it's been rescheduled for an undisputed matchup.
Yeah, like it's just such a shame. But anyway, they've been assigned to Matchroom. Obviously that fight is taking place in spring, so I'm quite excited for that one there.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel for Franchon because I feel like she's been just so up against it in her career so far. She always takes the fights, whatever's put in front of her. I mean, she took on Clarissa in her debut. She takes on whoever's there. And then she's obviously had all that rubbish with the whole drugs, fighting a drugs cheat, then fighting to get her belt back, having the match just taken off a record, to then going for all this. I mean, it's been tough on her. So I just hope that this is the beginning of something more for her, so she gets out more regularly, gets that kind of exposure she deserves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, talk about like facing adversity constantly in a career, but hopefully, like you say, this will be a little bit of momentum for her now. Obviously, going into this fight, signed to Matchroom, you know, probably no one at this moment in time, no one better to be signed to be fair. So, fingers crossed for her. Another fight that's finally been rescheduled is Clarissa Shields' fight. So obviously that was set. I know you're so excited for this one. As I think, as we all are, as we all should be. I mean, Clarissa Shields fighting in the UK. I am so excited.
I believe it. The fact she's coming to Cardiff.
I mean, this is meant to be for you. When we say everything happens for a reason, I feel like this was destined for you, because obviously I think it was scheduled December, wasn't it?
Yeah, December 11th.
Birmingham. God, you even remember the date?
Yeah, Birmingham first.
Yeah, it was Birmingham
first.
Yeah, and I remember then listening to Savannah Marshall, who was also meant to be on the card at the time. She was on a podcast and she was like, it's being rescheduled. It's not in Birmingham for whatever reason. It's moving to Cardiff. Obviously, Savannah's not on the card. I still don't think she's on the card even now. Yeah, but she did mention on that podcast she was struggling just to find a decent level opponent. And she was like, if I can't find a certain level, there's no point fighting, which makes sense. But then COVID struck again with the January show to be cancelled. So the 5th of February, I believe, isn't it, up in Cardiff?
Yeah, 5th of February in Cardiff in the Motorpoint Arena. So yeah, I can't wait. So I think basically it was meant to be end of January and it's had to shift because of no boxing January. So let's hope that the government eases restrictions to allow that to happen on the 5th, because that'd just be awful if it has to be rescheduled again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. And it must just be so hard for prep as well for these fighters. Like, like you say, if it's just a week and in advance, it's fine, isn't it? It's easy to like shift and change, your fight camp and your schedule. But as you're getting closer to the time, you start tapering off, and then it's got to change again. It must just be so frustrating and hard to then get back into that right rhythm. And you don't want to peak too early. You don't want to peak in camp, do you? And then you get to the night and you're not what you need to be.
Yeah, it is very hard. But yeah, so it's going to be a great fight because it's decent. It's a solid opponent, because obviously this is to try and showcase Clarissa in the UK before a big matchup with Savannah. But it's a great opponent to be getting on with, Emma Kozin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, is Emma? She's undefeated, isn't she? Yeah. So very, very good fights once again. And Clarissa can only take good fights. We don't want to see her in with like a journeywoman, because without disrespect to some of her past opponents, she does make ease of very good opponents. So she can't be in with anyone less than someone fantastic, in all fairness, because that's just the level Clarissa's at.
Yeah, no, so Emma Kozin is 21 wins and she's had a draw as well, but she's never lost.
Yeah.
And so it's for most of the belts at middleweight, because as we know that Savannah's got the WBO, but it's for the rest of the belts, and also Emma's got the World Boxing Federation middleweight title, so that's on the line, as well as Clarissa's titles. Yeah,
nice. And obviously this fight, I'm sure, for Clarissa is priority, but the big plan is it's going to set up the fight for Savannah Marshall, which hopefully will happen. I mean, it's got to be the next fight, surely.
Yeah, I feel like it's sort of stepping it up to that. I mean, if Savannah's not fighting that night, I'd like to hope she's ringside as well, because that'd be great.
I mean, yeah, that's going to probably cause more drama than even if they were both fighting the same night, wouldn't it? Because let's be honest, they're both at the peak of the game. They're going to probably make easy work of opponents at the level that they're at. So most of the drama, I think, will come from ringside.
Yes, yeah, and with her being ringside watching directly, yeah, that'd be interesting.
I'm there for the drama. I can't wait for that.
No, I'm so excited. Can't believe it. Cardiff, 5th of February. All going to tune in. So it's on Sky Sports, but obviously for the rest of the world, it's Fight TV.
Yeah, which again is great, because I think in the past it's always been quite difficult, for say UK fans to be watching American fights sometimes and vice versa. So I'm liking all these new platforms that are coming out. I think it's making it a lot more accessible now for everyone to watch, understand. Because how often did you used to see on Twitter, how can I watch this fight in the UK, or how can I watch this fight in America? So I think it's becoming a lot more accessible now, which is obviously great when we've got fighters like Clarissa coming to the UK to fight. Obviously, she's got tons of American fans. They know exactly how to watch her, like you've just said, on Fight TV. Right. Speaking of like the drama, I am all here, and I know you are, for this drama that has escalated on Twitter this week. So Sandy Ryan, Rick Ramos, like, Oh, I love it. If you haven't seen it, you just go on their Twitter accounts because it is so good. But what I always love about Rick Ramos is I think he's very, very good at what he does. He knows how to stir the pot. He knows how to make fights, but he's not just making like the next fight for Summer. When he initially tweeted Sandy, I think was looking further down the line. He's already projecting the future, thinking of what do they need to do? Who are them future opponents? And he's already in a way trying to, cause a little bit of beef, I suppose. And obviously, like he said, that's how you make money in fights, isn't it?
Yeah, he's very clever, because I think I've seen him write on Twitter before as well, how he used to be nice on Twitter and be nice, and he gets no attention. Everyone ignores him. Do something a little bit controversial, a little bit hating sometimes, and you get all the attention. Create a bit of drama. Everyone comes in, everyone looks, and he creates that attention for his fighters then.
Mm-hmm. And that's what he does. And like I've heard him before, I think he's got his own podcast, and he was saying how with Jessica McCaskill, he just kept banging on the door, and he got her that Katie Taylor fight. And that's what he's very good at. He's so persistent. And like I say, he reads the game quite well. He does look, he does study the game. And like I say, he's got Summer Lin, who obviously is going under the radar, which I never think is a bad thing earlier on in your career. I think more fighters should do it. Takes the pressure off, lets you learn, your trade a little bit more. But Summer Lin's going to be an unbelievable fighter. And in my opinion, probably a future world champion. So, you look at someone like Sandy Ryan, she's going to be a future world champion. And Rick knows, like many of us fans know, that UK boxing is the biggest in the world. Realistically, it's where everyone wants to fight. So if you've got an American fighter, get them to the UK. And that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, and you can see that, Matchroom put out a tweet, didn't they, sort of a couple of days ago, saying how Sandy Ryan, end of the year, world title shot possibly. Yeah. So, you can see that there she is heading towards that world title shot. He wants Summer Lin to be heading towards a world title shot. So you're right. Trying to think about in the future, get that big show on, because he said he wants to, not have the fight now, because Sandy's like, come on then, let's get the fight on. He's like, yeah, no, not now, let's build it, let's get the money further down the line.
Yeah, which is right. Like, obviously, as a fighter, Sandy, of course, just if someone's going to call her out, then she's going to take the fight. And then as a manager, Rick, and I'm sure Summer would, but like you say, as a manager, Rick is sitting there going, well, I want both fighters. And I think he even said he was looking out for Sandy's interests as well, of this will be a very good fight down the line, so don't rush it. And I do think there's a fine line in boxing, and I don't rush a fight, because it wants to have not just the money, the attention it deserves, but don't wait too long, which obviously at times fighters are more than guilty of. But what I loved is Sandy's reply of saying Jessica McCaskill was more realistic than Summer Lin. And you've got that constant confidence, I think, from Sandy.
Yeah, because she really believes in herself. I think she feels like you get this belief from her that even if she got, she's right at the beginning, but even if you put her in there with the top fighters in that division, she really feels like she's got a fighting chance even at this stage.
100%.
She just believes it. So it's nice, because it's sort of like gives everyone else that belief in her as well. I mean, and I don't blame her having a bit of confidence with that KO she had. That body shot was brilliant.
Oh, you could feel it. I remember watching at home and I was like, oh God, I felt it in my ribs. It was nasty, and you could hear the sound of it. And let's be honest, like Sandy has been one of the probably best prospects of last year, and how she's performed. I think she's made a statement in each of her fights. She's obviously come from a fantastic, amateur career as well. So she is going to come in. But I think the thing I like about Sandy is, obviously she is on the big platform, so you're going to know and hear and see more of her compared to Summer. Summer's time, I'm sure, will come probably this year. With Sandy is, she conducts herself, I think, very well as a professional. I remember in the badminton fight, and there's pushing and shoving, and she's got that confidence without, I don't think it's not arrogance. I think she's got a nice little balance, and she has got that confidence to kind of probably make some opponents quite fearful of her, which I think is quite rare when you're only beginning of your career.
I feel like with her, she's had a bit of drama at all her sort of head-to-heads.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think it's the way she sort of holds herself, refusing the handshakes and everything. It always ends up being a little bit of argy-bargy there.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, she's intimidating her opponents.
And she's good at it as well. And I think she'll be a very good personality for the game. I think that's the other thing that I do like about her. She does have the right personality, obviously with the skills to back it up. So I do think she is going to make a really big name for herself in the sport.
She's a big name in the future.
Yeah, 100%. Not much has happened really this week. Obviously, not a lot of boxing going on. Matchroom, of course, have announced, future shows for February and March. I did put out on Twitter, I can't wait to see two women headlining and being in that poster, because obviously I think there were 7 fights announced across the UK and America. Obviously all male headlines, but of course I'm presuming there's going to be quite a lot of female fights on the undercard. So I'm sure, I think this week coming there's going to be some big fights announced.
And then obviously sort of April time, we're looking at Serrano versus Taylor. So I just don't know whether they're going to be headlining. Do you reckon that they'll put them on as a headline act?
I will be really annoyed and upset if they're not headline. For me, it is the biggest fight in women's boxing. If that is not worthy of a headline, I really don't know what is. Equal to Marshall and Shields as well. But, if we talk about that fight's going to be first to be made, I know Eddie Hearn said it's going to be in Madison Square Garden in April time. I know it's a big arena or a big state, whatever, but I honestly believe they'll sell that out. I really, really, truly do.
Like I said, if they can't headline, who couldn't? Who could?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's the same with Marshall and Shields. Those are the two. They need to headline, otherwise it just won't be happening anytime soon.
It'll be just such an injustice, I think. And I don't like this whole co-headline, because at the end of the day, you're not a co-headline. You are either headlining or you're on the undercard. It's as simple as that. And they need to be headlining. And Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, they've got a huge fan base between them. I mean, obviously you've got Amanda Serrano, who's, lives in New York. She has got a huge, huge following. She's a big ticket seller. And Katie Taylor, she can go anywhere in the world and she's loved. She's a global superstar. So, obviously it needs to be a decent undercard, because you're always going to have the skeptics and people saying it shouldn't be a headline. So it will need to have a decent undercard, but I think every fight should have a good undercard. We should be making more 50-50 fights. We always say that anyway, but fingers crossed. I've got Sky Scanner on bookmarked ready for when that fight is announced, and I just can't wait. I'm so excited. Yeah, I don't care what the cost is. I'm not missing that fight at all. I can't wait for it.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like and subscribe to our channel, where we have new videos dropping all of the time. Also head over to our social media pages, where we have the latest boxing news, as well as interviews and live coverage from boxing events.